at St. Lauren 57, sober, celibate, and saved. Good evening to all. So, man, today has been a very long day. Surprisingly, we got out of our peer support training class early, which was nice. I didn't get the nap that I really wanted. Got back to St. John's and had community meeting, which is great because I get to see how, my fellow sisters are doing, because, I haven't been able to attend one all week, so that's good to hear that, just hear what's positive about, and then I got to, meet with my, SUD counselor. For those who don't know what SUD is, it's substance use disorder counselor. So I do have one of these. While I've been at St. John's, now I've had lots of, I got quite a bit of time under my belt, but what I have learned, since I'll just share, is that, I've had sobriety for many years, and sobriety without recovery just means relapse, is all that means. Like, relapse is inevitable. Doesn't matter how many years in between, but there's something, and there's just not the balancing of the brain, because, addiction shows up in many different ways. It's not just in substances, you know what I mean? It's our mind anyways. And so, I'm so grateful that I have her. I'm grateful, being in this peer support class is, I'm grateful for St. John's because I already have a lot of this education, right? And I have a lot of this experience being in a community of mixture of different, adversity, right? Like a group of women that, we face all different types of adversity. And, just the fact that I have my own life experience on top of that. And, but there's so many things that even being in this class, I still learned that I can use for myself, the fact that I didn't know exactly what all mental health applied to me. And I definitely did not know how I could advocate for myself. And for a long time, I just didn't have a voice. There's a difference between being patient and following God and doing God's will, and not being argumentative and not being aggressive, and just, you know what I mean? Like, I've changed my ways a lot, like I've relinquished control on a lot of things. And but I've also let a lot of things kind of just happen to me. Granted, I played a part, there was something I did get in my own way, but there's, I guess I just didn't know what capabilities I had, and I'm learning as I'm in this class. I'm learning a lot of different ways that I can advocate for myself, and I'm learning a lot of ways of like when to advocate for myself and when to let things be. And so I was really grateful to have, I was very grateful to have the conversation with my SUD counselor today, just to be able to because there were times where I'd go in these meetings and I'm not ready to talk about certain things, but I'm learning I cannot carry these things on my own. And yes, I have to pray on them. And sometimes I do get busy, and even though prayer can just be a thought, you know what I'm saying? But I have to pray for myself, and I have to pray on things, I have to really because if I ask, I will, I will receive, but I have to be ready to listen. I have to be in the place to listen. And, I need to do what I need to do so that God can hear me, because God hears, God already knows my thoughts, but, He's at the door. I just got to open it. And sometimes, I just don't know how to advocate for myself, even in prayer. And so I just got done with my, I do a small group, with a group of people from my congregation, my church. And, I'm so grateful for that, because, I'm most definitely there's just a commonality, no matter the differentiation in age group, or who grew up in church and who didn't, what religion or this or that, there's still like a lot of things in common, but also there are a lot of differences, and I love that because it allows me to learn, and I can only hope that I can contribute in some way as well. But I love that people, I love that when I'm going through something, people will advocate for me. Like, if I don't know how to pray for myself, or if I'm not making the time to pray for myself, people are more than willing to pray for me. And I'm really grateful to that. I'm grateful that I've built this relationship. I'm really grateful for my community in church. Like, I really, I don't have a lot of family right now. I don't have I didn't, I really kind of lost a support system that, used to be relevant in my life and used to be present. And I also really kind of relied on myself a lot. And that obviously was really difficult because there's a lot of weight that I carried that really just disrupted my mental health. And I mean, it disrupted it really bad. And so much so that I just I allowed things to continue, and I didn't advocate for myself. I was ignoring, I was ignoring things that I needed to not ignore, But, probably one of the greatest things that, my SUD counselor told me today was I'm like speaking with her, and I don't know, we were in a meeting for like almost an hour, and when we have to recognize when people are sick, right? And sick, I mean, the definition of sick is vast, okay? Sick could be just like, literally sick, mentally sick, an addiction sick. And we have to be kind to those people. We have to give those people grace. I mean, you wouldn't treat someone who is, you can't treat, sickness comes. No one forces himself to be sick. And you have to treat those people, like with humanity and love and compassion and forgiveness and grace. And, obviously love from a distance, whatever it is, right? And you have to realize that, I know at some point I was sick. And when I was sick, I didn't know I was sick. And I didn't have anyone to advocate for me. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. And I didn't understand what I was going through. And I didn't get the same. Like, I wasn't given compassion. I wasn't given love. And I wasn't given understanding. And I wasn't given grace. And I wasn't forgiven. My unknown sickness was really held against me. And that very much has hindered me, in life. And, I know better. I know that when I recognize someone's sickness, because we don't hurt people, right? And so I just felt like that was really important to hear today because, like, life is lifing. And, but also being that I just came from small group and we're going over Psalm 139 and just the energy in the room, the energy from, a couple of the friends in the peers we have in my studies, in my peer support, specialist training, and our instructor, and just the energy, and my good friend that has also got a scholarship and going with me. It's crazy how hard, like how tough life is, right? Like I have a lot of adversity. I have a lot of barriers to overcome, and there's a lot of rebuilding, and man, it's heavy. It's heavy sometimes. And there's a woman in, who always says, like, I just don't know how people don't do it how people do it without God. And I truly think that I'm only this successful in this season of my life because I opened that door to God, and I allow him, even though he's always there, I allow him to be there. I allow this relationship. I'm partaking in this relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, is it symbiotic? Is that the word? Anyways, but I'm just like, I'm partaking in this relationship now. And, man, if it, I think the same, like, man, if it weren't for God, I don't know how I would get through, and how I would work through the emotions, and just the pain, and just the facing the adversity and the anxiety and all the different, like, kind of foggy feelings that come, that don't allow you to advocate for yourself, that make you feel depressed, that make you feel unworthy. And a lot of the studies right now that we're doing talk about, like, I am worthy because I'm a child of God. Like, it doesn't matter. No, there's nothing that I've ever believed about myself is true, and nothing that anyone has ever told me about myself is true, and nothing that anybody feels about me other than the love of God is true either. And I have to remind myself of that every day, and I'm so grateful for that every day, because that gets me through. That allows me to stand tall. Like, it allows me to really, like, keep going. If I didn't have God and I was facing these barriers, like, I mean, because there are times now when I have God and something happens, and I'm like, well, you know what? What if I just wasn't here? Like those quick little, and it's like, but I want to be here. I want to be here. Like, I'm fighting, I'm rebuilding, I'm recovering, I'm learning. Like, I have survived some pretty significant things, and it's creating, like, that mess is creating a message, and it's allowing me, this is taking me somewhere, especially when it, like, the things that we're learning about mental health, and peer support training, is like, I get to be for somebody. I will be of service to people who were in the same boat as me, and I can give the love, and I can almost pay it forward. What God has given me, and the people who, my friends, and my aunts and my uncles who pulled me out, pulled me out of the valley, and or help pulling me on the shore, pulling me, help me to get to that mountain. And I've been climbing it. Ever since I got to St. John's, I've been climbing it. And like, I just have to keep reminding myself, and it's amazing that lesson of God was taught in the sermon, and just like, I have to remind myself of that. And I want to remind other people of that like, they are worthy, and no matter what adversity or what barrier you're facing, you are worthy. We do recover. And just because you feel like there's something wrong with you, or because you feel out of place, or because you feel different, that doesn't mean that you deserve any less compassion or love. Like, you deserve to have a pathway to success, and whatever that success looks like to you, no matter what your barriers are. And and I really get reassured by that in all of these fellowships and these communities I've built. Like, I have I love my church. I love the people of my church. I love the different groups that I'm involved with that, are, that involve people from my church. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, I'm just so absolutely grateful that I have people who love me, and people who see me, and people who know me as the way God knows me, and the people who accept me as the way God accepts me. And, man, just the fact that people will pray for me. There are barriers in my life, and I have to discern about what is best. What can I do that is not of my flesh? And what can I do that will be action that shows God's will. What is the best way to handle something, and how can I do it so that I'm not being selfish? How can I do it so that I'm advocating for myself, I'm standing up for myself, but how can I do it? How can I do it so I'm also doing the right thing? Doing it so that I fall into the steps that God has put before me. Like, how can I follow what the path is? And I have to discern about this, right? And so it's amazing that I can have people pray for me, and I can be open, and I can share my life's concerns and my life's barriers and my adversities. And the fact that we all want to see each other live life, and just, I mean, it's such a heartwarming, it's just so amazing. And so, along with, caring for people who are sick, like, before I got home, I stopped by McDonald's real quick, and, I'm like, I'm still kind of full from the lunch that they served us over at the training, but for whatever reason, I got 2 McDoubles. They're cheaper. They're like $2.50, right? But as I'm coming out the drive-thru, I see a man with a sign, and I'm like, you know what? Perfect. And so, I rolled down the window, and I gave him, and he was like, oh my gosh, I love you. Please drive safe. And you know what? I didn't even think about it. All I said was, I love you too. Please be safe, and it came so naturally just to tell this stranger that I love them, because, people just don't understand, like, man, mental health, homelessness, addiction, it is a struggle. It is hard. And people who have never faced adversity, or people who don't understand, they have absolutely no compassion. And they don't, and people in these positions of homelessness, addiction, or mental health, like, they should not be loved any less. And, I want that man to be able to enjoy something, and it's not of pity, it's of empathy and compassion. And, I do love you. You are also a child of God, and you are also a human who deserves to be able to have somebody say, just like, when somebody prays for you, when someone tells you they love you, and you feel like, man, I don't know if I earned that. Like, this person doesn't know me. It's just like when someone prays for you, but it's also just it's in symbolic of, like, of God's love. Is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing I can do that will make me be unlovable to God. Like, there's nothing I can do that's going to make God hate me, or, you know what I'm saying? Because he knows my heart. He knows my heart, and I am deserving, and I'm worthy. And that's how I've been getting through a lot of life's adversities. And like, me and my friend, we were having a big conversation this morning. Like, it's always going to come back to this, but we're having a conversation this morning too. Like, just where we once were, and how I had no self-esteem. And I was saying, like, anybody could get a boyfriend, okay? Because dicks don't have eyes. You know what I'm saying? And as long as there's somewhere warm for them to lay, it doesn't matter. And when you don't have self-worth, and you don't have self-esteem, and you are feeding feelings, and you're feeding your flesh, and you're not leading a life that God is telling you are worthy, and you deserve this, and let me put before you what exactly it is you deserve. Please don't accept any less. We get lost. And there are people who, they'll take advantage of the fact that we'll make excuses for them. They'll take advantage of the fact that we'll always be there. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lesson. It's a hard lesson I had to learn. It's a very hard lesson, because there's, we were talking about just, like, how brokenhearted, like, how painful it is to be abandoned, how painful it is to love somebody unconditionally and to completely be abandoned. Like, to have somebody just completely dismiss your worth, somebody to completely dismiss your feelings, and to completely, like, lie to you, to mistreat you, to dismiss you. And And it's just why, like, God is such a big part of my healing process. And because everything I've ever been taught has been a lie. Any man I've ever picked who said they love me, it was a lie. It just, the trauma bonding. And that's partially my fault. I went out there and I just trauma bonded with things because that's all I was. I was just a big broken human being. And I was going through life broken and making broken choices. And then I kept allowing these things. You know what I'm saying? It's not anybody's fault for mistreating me. I allowed it. I allowed people to stay. I gave people my time. I gave people my commitment. I gave people my loyalty. I gave people my love willingly. And I wasn't listening to God. I didn't listen to God when he said that I am held at the highest esteem. I didn't listen to God when he said that I am royalty. I didn't listen to God when he said that I am worthy. I did not listen to God when he said that he had a plan for me and that he would bring to me all that I needed and wanted. I just had to follow him. I just had to be patient. I just had to love myself. And if I go through life loving myself as God loves me, then I will have all that I need. But, being broken and wanting things and not having a relationship with God and not knowing my worth, So it's easy. Anybody could be in, and it's very meaningful when you can tell someone that you love them, but when you mean it. When you truly mean it. And no, I didn't have like a rapport with this, this man who's homeless, who needed food, but, I do, he needs love. And it's not out of pity. It's like, I could be exactly where you're at. You are my neighbor and you are worthy. And, I hope that people can keep showing compassion because he deserves to feel, you know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy when you do end up in these places and you face these adversities of life of homelessness and where there's all these stigmas, where you don't deserve as much as the next person because you suffer from homelessness. You don't deserve as much as the next person because you suffer addiction. You don't deserve much as the next person because you suffer mental health. So you are, you know what I'm saying? Like, we do recover. And recovery comes with, like, obviously willingness, but love, compassion, and guidance, and empathy, and finally being able to advocate for ourselves and to feel like that we're worthy enough to have a voice. I'm worthy enough to stand up for myself. I'm worthy enough, you know what I'm saying? I can ask for those things. And I also can leave something and I don't have to entertain anything that is taken away from my worth. And so I just really felt amazing today. Like, and I say this because there are so many people in the world who are facing barriers and adversities and they want to let go and they want to give up and they feel like they don't they're undeserving or they wonder why is this happening. I promise that God, some things are of our own choices, but at the same time, God has already written our story. No matter what choice that we make in that moment, God has already written our story. He already knows past, present, future. So whatever is to be, it was already going to happen. But there's a miracle going on in the midst of the mess. And there are bigger forces at work. You are becoming who it is you're meant to be with the story that's already written. And it helps me to get through like these really dark times where because of stigma, I feel like it's hard to really look at life and be like, damn, dude, I can't believe out of my whole entire life and out of all the good I have done, that some people really only treat me a certain way because of a couple things. And the only thing is that some people are just sick and some people just don't know. Like, some people don't understand and and it's just, we can't dwell on the past, and we can't, like, I can't control anybody else's thoughts of me. I can't control about how they feel about me, and nor will I. You know, but all I need to know, and all I need to know to keep me going, is that God loves me. God sees me as beautiful. God sees me as worthy. And, you know, with God, I will be a success. I will reach my I will get to my potential. I will be a success story, and I will have all that I want and I need. And so I hope for anybody out there struggling, you know, mental health, substance use, homelessness, domestic violence, just trauma in general, like, don't give up on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you don't need anyone to tell you that you're worthy. You just have to know it. You know, nobody's ever going to give you that satisfaction, especially if you've been told that you're unworthy your whole life and that you fit some sort of stigma. You can't listen to that. You have to rise above and don't give up, because you're worthy, you're deserving. And the people who want to dismiss you or abandon you or mistreat you, may God, you know, just may you in time forgive them for what they don't understand, and just worry about you and do what you have to do to persevere through the adversity, you know, through the adversity. And just, you know, you are resilient, and we do recover. At St. Lauren 57, be safe and be kind.